Welcome back to RBD Block Challenge. We are working on block number 11. This block is called Pop Star and is designed by Heather Peterson. There's a lot of little pieces, but we're going to take you through step by step and you're going to enjoy making this block. In fact, I think this block is so pretty. I think a quilt only with this block would be really beautiful. So the first thing you're going to do, like we always do, is go to our Riley Blake Designs website and download the pattern on our website. I previously cut out all of my pieces from the cutting instructions, and now we're ready to get started sewing. Now with all these little pieces, it's super important that you have an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance and all of your pieces are cut correctly. The first thing it's going to have you do is make your flying geese units. And this C block is used for this C rectangle is used for other units, so you only need 4 of them. And you grab your A squares as well. And I'm just going to put all my A squares right here. Now I previously drawn corner to corner and marked these squares. I'm just going to do one for you now. I think this quilt block is going to require glasses. There's a lot of little pieces. So mark corner to corner. I've already marked my other pieces. I'm going to make one flying geese unit on camera, and then I'm going to sew the rest off camera to save time. But we know we've been making these for a while. We just put it in the corner on one side. I give it a little press. Just do a quick flip, looks good. I even like to use these trim up rulers because it's already got that obvious 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I just trim that off. Take it over to my pressing station. Okay, we're putting this square on the opposite corner. Up. Give it a little spritz. Now you want to measure these and make sure they measure 3 inches. And you're going to repeat that 4 times. I'm going to make my other units and we'll come back here and go on to the next step. Okay, make sure these all measure 3 inches. They are looking good. So we'll put those aside for now. The next thing we need to do is take our D and B blocks. And we need 4 of these. B blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we take our small little squares. I'm calling them blocks, but they're squares because we haven't made anything yet. So we take these D squares, mark corner to corner. I've already marked all my other squares. And we're going to make all these units. them a quick press. Now this is your sew line. Oh. Okay, flip them up, make sure they look okay. This one might need to be slightly adjusted. Actually, that's okay. Okay, let's throw these away. Let's go to our pressing station. Press them open. Oops. There we go. All right, I just did these all together. So we're gonna just clip in between, do a quick trim. Okay, let's take it to our pressing station. Press open. All right, we have all our DB units finished. Put those aside. Then we need to take our C rectangles and divide them 4 and 4. Then we take our A little squares. Now this is where you need to follow the pattern. So you need to have 4 going this direction, and 4, oops, make sure they're going the correct direction. So making kind of a V shape. I'm just gonna do 2 for you to save time, and off camera, I'll do the rest. Give them a quick press, and you're gonna just sew corner to corner. All right, let's give it a quick clip. Now you're gonna lay those just like the pattern to make sure you did them correctly. And then when you verify you've got 4 going one direction, 4 going the other, then just give it a quick trim. Okay. Now let's take it back to our pressing station. Give them a good press. Okay. Just repeat it for the rest of these units, and I'll meet you back here and we'll start assembling our block. Okay, so we have the rest of our long rectangle units, and we're ready to assemble part of this block. Now you get these 4 DB units. I'm just going to show you one right now. Now this should measure 3-inch square, and that is pretty close, pretty close. Now you're going to take these 2 units, and there, the white part goes white next to white. When it's sewn, it's going to make this nice V shape, like these nice points. You can see they're off-centered, 1/4 inch each side, so when you got your 1/4 inch, they're going to line up just beautifully. So you're going to flip to one side, just like that. There's just a little bit of bulk, but I tend to pin right there. Again, you want to make sure there's an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance there. And I'm going to pin the other side too. So I'm going to sew this one unit, and the rest of them I'm going to sew off camera. Okay, let's open it up and take a look. Do you see how that's a continuous line? If it's all lined up properly, looks beautiful, right? Now I'm going to take it to the pressing station, and I'm pressing my seams towards the center. There we go. It should measure 3 by 5.5. So let's take a look. Get my square up ruler. It's 5.5 right on, and it's slightly bigger than 3 inches just on this side. So I'm going to just trim it. Just right there. Because sometimes those teeny little bit of threads add up. Okay, so this is ready to go. Repeat it 3 times, and let's meet back here to assemble our block. Okay, we finished these 3 units. Let's put them with the others, and it's time to assemble our block. Have your pattern handy, because you want to make sure you are putting it together correctly. So we're going to take the F in the middle, we're going to take our flying geese, and they are facing outwards. It's important to get it right. And it kind of makes a square inside of a square. Now we can also put these little cornerstones, and that kind of completes that square. And then this, actually, these are going to face towards each other. And then we have some white cornerstones as well. So we're going to do this inner block, this inner section first. How I do that, so I'm just going to flip those over just like that. Pin it where I'm going to start my sewing. That, and we'll bring it back and pin the other side. Okay, let's bring it back. Again, looking at your pattern, kind of finger press those in a little bit. Then we're going to flip these over. Okay, let's open them up. And we are going to nest our seams. Now this is going to go in our flying geese. Going to finger press that. That is going to go nest just like that. So flying geese are going to go out, and then this block's going to go in the seams, or that square, on that square that's going in. So the seams will just nest perfectly. Okay, let's open it up. We've got our square inside of our square. Our points are lining up. A couple threads we'll get in a minute. Just gonna pull those out. Let's give it a press. We are going to press this to the outside. So your seams, we are pressing to the outside. Okay, there we go. That center section's finished. Now we're going to add our two side pieces to it. Now, this is a little tricky. Not that tricky, but you want to make sure your points they're facing each other so they line up. So not only are we going to nest our seams, we're going to line up our points. And how I do that is, see, I just flip that back and just kind of eyeball it. Make sure they're lining up. There is a little bulk right there. I throw a pin right there. And then since we press the seams inside this side and outside that way, they should nest beautifully. Just throw a pin on each side. Okay, so that's good to go. If you want to pin your outside, you can. I tend not to. And then let's flip it over. I'm going to pin both at once. Again, those points are lining up. You're going to have to just ease your machine across this little bulk right here. And we are going to nest those seams. Just got some threads, extra threads, and nest those seams right here. Again, you can choose to pin on the outside. I like to get away with less pinning. All right, let's take a look. Our points have lined up. And just a little tip, when you're sewing across, you can see where your sew line, where your tip is of this little point right here, and you just don't sew across it. Make sure you, so then it lines up tip to tip. And it works that way on both sides. So that unit is finished. Let's just sew these corner squares to the 2 remaining sides. Okay, we've got these last 2 units finished. And since they're all nicely pressed, they're gonna nest so well together. So again, we're gonna line up the tip to tip. There should be a 1/4 inch allowance on top and underneath. And then we're going to nest all these seams, and the seams should be going opposite direction, so it's going to fit really nicely together. I'm going to pin this other side too. Again, just line those up. Okay, let's take a look. We need to look, see if our points are lined up. Look how nice that looks. Now let's give it a nice press as we take it over. When you're sewing along, just make sure you're not sewing into the tip of this point right here. And you can see it on one side and kind of flip it over. But when you're sewing, you can only see one side, and hopefully they're both equally a 1/4 inch in, so you're not cutting off either tip. Give it a good spritz. Set those seams. Okay, let's open it up. Wow, your block is finished. Let's just take a look and see if it needs to be squared up at all. Get your trim up ruler, lay it down. You can see your square within the square. And I'm feeling pretty good about this block. There's a lot of little pieces, so it's easy to get off. So make sure you have accurate cutting, an accurate 1/4 inch seam allowance, and just take your time. This was a really enjoyable block to make. Heather Peterson does such a good job on her quilting. Can't wait to see what she does with her block. But we are glad you're following along and sewing along with us. Join us next time for block number 12.